Hello, I'm Maurice Dimba. Today, I'm going to demonstrate on how to place the RC beams on the provided stub plates you're seeing on this model, and Rebar placement on the RC beams that we are just about to place. And this model is our part 6 of this presentation. Welcome to this presentation. Once again, I'm your presenter, Maurice Dimba. We'll go straight to beam placement, and prior to that, I want to take you around this model if you first bumped on this prior to following it from the part 1 to this part 6. Now I'll just go to navigate under view. I'll rotate this using a mouse. I'll pick on that spot to be my rotation point and press my left button on the keyboard. By pressing the left button on the mouse, I'll be able to turn this around like this. Now I want to place a beam from that spot to this spot, and then place my rebars. Thereafter, below the beams, we will place the masonry wall below it. Let's get started right away. Then I'll just go straight to beam there. I'll come to beam by clicking that drop down arrow. I'll pick beam, and I want to be so much accurate in clicking the spots of my preference, or the spots at the end of these, at the very end of these stub plates. Now to be more accurate, I'll go to my keyboard and press Ctrl 3 or Ctrl 2. Now I'll be able to snap right at the end of these stub plates that are providing a seat and support for our beams. Now I'll go to beams there. I'll pick beams, and I'll be able to snap at the middle of that plate and zoom out and come all the way to this end and snap right there. I'll right click and interrupt to exit from that beam command. Now, having created the beam here, I'll just go straight away and press Ctrl 4, and I'll be able to go to my previous presentation or view. Now, having placed the beam here, and if you want to modify or play around with the measurements or the size of the beam, just double click on the beam, and create beam properties dialog box will come up, and you'll be able to change this or to change the size. You come to profile here, and you'll be able to change all this, and to change the orientation, the position, you'll be able to work around this. It works the same with the part of steel beam, where you'll be able to change the orientation, change the profile of the steel beam, and change probably the location and maybe deforming. It's much similar, so there's no much that I should explain here. And there's a lot of similar videos in this channel that if you've not grasped the right information here, you can visit several videos within the YouTube and be able to get the exact information you're looking for. Then from here, I'll assume this is my preference, 350 by 250, the size of my beam. I'll just go ahead and click apply and accept, just to come out of that dialog box of beam properties. Now my next step is to create the rebars. Now I'll come straight away here and just type beam, and my beam rebar, I would prefer numerically named 90. I'll pick on that, then come straight to the beam, and please note that the moment you invoke that Rebar placement on that Rebar placement on that macro, the program will ask you to pick the object you want to place the rebar. into. Now I'll come here and pick this, and again it's asking the position. The position again I want to be much accurate, and I'll just go straight away to change the presentation of the model so that I'll be able to actually accurately locate the position of my preference. Now I'll go to the to my keyboard and press control 2, and I'll be able to locate the end to end of this beam. I'll be able to snap on that spot and move all the way to this spot right here. There we are. Here is our beam. Now I can go back and press Ctrl 4, and I'll be able to go back on my previous presentation or view. Now I'll come back here and rotate this and rotate that and press Ctrl 2. I want to work on the rebars. I'll just double click here, double click on the rebars, after clicking on the rebar will be prompted with this beam rebar's properties, a dialog box. Then we'll be able to adjust all these here. Now I'll come straight here and change this to 45. That is end condition left, which is on the other side, and the end conditions right, which is this side. Now I'll change this to 45 degrees. Let's wait and see how it is adjusting itself. And also we can adjust the length there. Maybe we want 600 there. We change that to 600, and we click modify and see how it is responding. Now from that close to the very end, it has adjusted itself inward by 600, and we'll do the same to the bottom bars, to the top bars also. We'll do 45, we'll do 45 and do 45 there, and change this to 600 also. Change that to 600. Just go ahead and click modify. Perfect. Now the size of the rebars. Now we'll go back to bottom bars. The grade is H. The size, just come here on the radio button here and click, and you'll be able to change all this depending on your grade. I'll prefer H or T, but at the moment let me work with H, size 16. I'll apply and accept that. Now on the top bars I'll use just the same. The side left is just the same size, the side right just the same size, and startups will just will be 6 millimeter, and this is subject to change. We can change this to 45, and try accept that and see how it's behaving. not really, not really, not really, not really. Leave it at 180. Try 180 and go ahead and click. You'll be able to see that changing like that. Change that to 90 and come to modify. Let's leave it at 90 there for the startups. Now we can apply and accept that. Apply and accept. And move. You can take a look on how the rebars are presented here. These are our rebars. Now on the start plate here, once you've laid your rebars, it's more advisable to enhance the strength on the rebars by once you've done the bending and you've placed the rebars on top of these on top of these star plates, it is advisable you weld them against the star plate. You weld on this, you weld the bottom rebars to that plate, and at very end you weld some anchors to reinforce the rebars here prior to doing your formwork and doing the general casting of the beams. Now, having done that, all these will be similar all round. Just have a look at this. Let's turn this round. I'll be able to see the rebars layout, how they've been laid in here. Now, straight away, I'll switch back to my previous view by pressing Control 4. Then I'll leave this a bit and switch back to stub plate. Remember, on this side we never placed stub plate. Now we'll just go ahead and click copy. We'll copy this, or what we can do, we can just go ahead and click that, right click and come to special copy and linear. Then on the y-axis we'll feed 5 meters there, 5 meters, and we need close to 7 of them or 6 of them. Just go ahead and click OK, and we'll wait for the result. Having clicked that, go ahead and click OK. See, all this has been placed. Now we want to mirror this. Right click, and prior to performing a mirror command or invoking a mirror command, we want to change our XY axis. We'll come to view, we'll come to work plane tool here on that drop down arrow and just snap right here, right there. Right click and interrupt to exit that work plane tool command. Now I'll come to stub plate, I'll right click and come to special copy and come to mirror, and I'll use this pad footing as my mirror. I'll just click down there and come to copy and click that, right click and accept everything there. Now I'll come back here, and click on that stub plate. I'll right click and come to special copy. I'll come to linear. Now under linear, first of all, I'll check on the direction of my XY axis. I'm seeing the X axis is right on in the direction of my of my preferred direction in populating the stub plates. Now I'll come to x-axis and feed 5 meters there, and exact number of copies of stub plates. I'll just go ahead and click copy and see and wait for the outcome. I'll just go ahead and go to OK to accept. They have been placed here perfectly in the right position. Now I'll pick on that, right click, and just go ahead and copy them manually right there. Pick it from this spot, from that spot, and snap on that spot, right click and accept that. I'll go ahead to do a copy command. I'll go to linear. Now on linear, I'll feed a negative there, but I'll change the number here to 1 and go ahead and click copy. Is there anything going on? Nothing. We've not copied any. We'll close this. We'll close this and come to that, right click, click copy from that spot to that spot to that spot. Or we can do a very simple thing by clicking on that spot, right click and click copy, click copy, or let me just do this thing, this trick. I'll come to any position, I'll snap on that spot and come to this spot and come to that spot. Then I get the midpoint between these 2 points perfectly right. Then I'll come to applications and components here, then type stub here. I'll pick that, then scroll down, I'll pick on stub, then pick on this, then go to this spot. It's saying my Z direction is illegal. Now I'll go back to view and come back to work plane tool and change my work plane tool to default right there. Then I'll come to stub plate and pick on that, then snap on that spot. Having snapped on that spot, you can see it there. Double click on it, then I'll be able to go to general and play around with these directions of the axis. I'll be able to change that. I'll come to x negative, I'll come to x positive there, right there. That's the exact position I intend to use. Now we need a similar thing on this end, but now what we are going to do, I'll just copy this, right click and come to a special copy, or I'll just do the same thing. I'll do the same thing. I'll come to edit. I'll come to edit right there and come to any position and snap right there and snap right there. Just let me zoom closer and snap right there. Having done that, I need another spot on the other end and get the midpoint between of the two. I'll come to navigate right there. I'll rotate this, then come to edit. edit, then any position from here to there. Right click to interrupt for an exit from that command. Then I'll get the midpoint between these 2 points right there. Perfect. I'll interrupt and close that command. Then I'll come back to stub and pick this, then snap right there. Having done that, and what I'm noticing, we need to check whether what we've done is right. It is not in the right position. It is not in the right position. Now what we'll do, just to delete this, then we'll switch back to our control 2. Our control 2 here will help us locate the accurate position of this stub plate here. Now we'll snap right there. Having done that, we'll switch back to our control 4, which will take us to our previous view. Now we'll use this accurately located view to place our next stub plate. Now I'll come to any position there and snap right here, then snap down there, snap there, then the other end. Perfect. Right click and come to interrupt. Interrupt will take you to an exit of that command. Then you'll come to online, then snap right there and snap right here. Perfect. Interrupt that and close this. Then we'll come back to stub and pick that and snap on that position right there. Right click and double click on that stub. Come to general to change the position of your stub. Apply and accept that. Now we'll close this. We'll close that. Then we'll come to view. We'll come to navigate and rotate this. You see, we are in the same, it is actually in the same position. In the same position. Now we want to classify this extra stub into, and we'll create a different category under face manager for this stub because they're a bit smaller with our initial stubs. Now we'll go to drawing and reports, and we'll go to faces, and we'll create another stub. Now we'll just come here and type stub 1 or gable stub Perfect, and we'll make it current. Now having picked that, we'll come to objects by face. Then we will be able to go on each and every one and select, pick that, then just zoom out and make sure you pick everything, because I forgot to just select on one and populate. Now I'll pick that, I'll pick on that, I'll pick on this. Just hover your cursor until you see, pick on that. I'll pick on this and pick on that. then zoom out and in, pick on that and pick on that, then zoom out, come here and click modify. Now if you click on empty screen and come back on tab and click objects by face, you'll be able to see they've been classified under Gables tab. Gables tab there. Now taking into account that we had already placed our rebars here, and to check that, just go and ahead and press Ctrl 2 and you'll be able to see the rebars placement on the beams right away. There we are. There we are. Perfectly done. Now we want also to press Ctrl 4 to get you back where you were before. Now click on empty screen to deselect those gable tabs. Now we want to classify these beams under face manager. Now what we are going to do is just to the same approach, going to drawings and report and coming to faces, and I mean face manager, scroll down and create another category, I mean, then right there beam or RC beams. Perfect. We'll make them current. We'll make this current. Then under RC beams, select the RC beams prior to categorizing or classifying it under face manager. Then I'll go ahead and click, just go ahead and highlight everything there perfectly well and come here and modify. Click that. Then click on empty screen, then come back and check whether what you've done is okay. Perfectly done. Now we'll close this and we'll go ahead and right click, come to copy. After invoking the copy command, we'll come here and snap on that spot and copy it on this end. Copy it on this end right there. Right click and interrupt that copy command. Exit that copy command, then press Ctrl and highlight that or select that. Reason why I'm selecting the two, I want to distribute these columns along the length of this model. Now take note that our y-axis is heading in that direction. Now we will populate this taking into account on the direction of the y-axis. Now having selected these two, I'll right click and come to special copy and select linear. In linear, I'll go to y-axis here, and if you go to y-axis, make sure your x-axis is 0, reading 0. I'll change that to 0 and feed the interval measurements between the column to column is 6 there. I'll type 6. Then I'll feed the number of interval measurements of the column. I'll feed 23. I'll go ahead and click copy and wait for the result. Right there, I'll go ahead and click OK. I'll right click to exit that copy command. There we are with our RC beams properly reinforced. Those are the RC beams here. Perfect. Now if you deselect that and you want to confirm whether they have been categorized under, or they have been categorized in Face Manager as RC beams, just come to Drawings and Report and come to Face Manager and scroll down to RC beams and just highlight that, and you'll be able to see everything being highlighted under RC beams. So having selected this under this, just go ahead and click Create Drawings, and you'll be able to see the rebars and the beam created, and you'll be happy with the result. Now I'll click on empty screen, and clicking on the empty screen means you deselect the selected object. Now on the gable side, we want to create beams and reinforce and create our rebars. I'll rotate it in a position that I will be able to place my beam. I can access the midpoint of that end of stub plate, but I'm not able to see this end. It's quite simple. Just go ahead on your keyboard and press Ctrl 2 to make this transparent. Making it transparent will make everything visible for you to handle. Then I'll come to Edit. I'll come to any position there and snap right there. And since we have a point there, there's no need of placing another one. I'll zoom out and place one here. Right click. We have one already there, so there's no need of placing one. I'll come to Beam under Concrete here. Then click that drop down arrow. I'll pick Beam. I'll zoom out and snap right there and run all the way to this end and place another point here. This marks the start and the end of my beam. Now the size of this beam will not be similar with this, because the columns that will be supporting the beams, the sizes are not the same with the ones on the length of this model. Now I'll take you back to our previous presentation or previous view, and be able to see this. From here, I'll double click and change the size of this beam to 200. Apply and accept. That's it. Now from here, I want to place the rebars. I'll come here and just type beam. I'll use the same settings. I'll type beam or type 90. I'll be able to reach the rebar in beam. I'll pick that, then just come straight and click on that right there. I'll snap right there. Position from that end to this end. We'll use the same settings. Remember, once you've made your previous settings in setting how the rebars will be located on the beam, it will pick the same settings and apply into another beam, but it will be able to adjust the spacing of the rebars, the space in between the rebars. I'll press Ctrl 2 for us to be able to see inside the beam. This is inside the beam that are on the side of the gable. You can see that. And remember, I told you that to enhance the support of this beam, after doing all your bending, please, on the bottom end of the rebars, ensure that they're welded against the stab plate, and the top bars are welded against the column, same to this end, prior to doing your formwork and casting the RC beam. Having done that, we'll go straight away to populating this along the gable. Now I'll press Ctrl 4 to take me back to my previous view. Now I'll close this because I'm done with it. I'll come to drawings and report and come to face manager here. Under face manager, I want to create another beam. I'll come to add, and I'll be able to feed here RC beam, gable RC beam. I'll type gable RC beam, RC beams, and make it and set it current. Now I'll select everything here, then classify it under face manager as gable RC beams right there. Then I'll click on empty screen to deselect this. After doing that, I want to check whether what I've done under face manager classification is right. I'll go ahead, having highlighted this as gable RC beams, I'll pick that, and I'll be comfortable seeing this has been classified as RC beams under face manager. I'll close this. Then the next thing remaining is just to populate these along the gable, and I want to do this one go. I'll right click and come to copy. I'll copy this from this end, from that end, and take it all the way to this end. Just zoom in and copy it all the way to the other end. Let it come closer. Just zoom in, just zoom in. I'll be able to copy it on this end. Place it here. Right click. You can see that, and remember it's there without the stabs. We'll pick stabs to follow it later on. Reason why I'm doing that, I want, once I'm doing the copy command along the gable, it should be done at the same time on the other end. Now here I'll pick this, I'll pick that, I'll zoom in and out and be able to pick that and that, pick this and that. I'll zoom in and out to ensure I've selected everything I intend to walk along with, heading that direction. I'll pick this, that and that. Then one key thing remaining is just to go ahead and right click and come to copy and zoom out and be able to snap on this location and transfer this to the other end. Transfer this to this end. Just zoom out. Transfer this to the very last, or to the other face of the gable, or to the other side of the gable. Just snap right there, and you'll be able to see something placed there, which is our stab. Now we want to copy. We'll highlight on that, or we'll select that, Then come all the way to this end. Let's come all the way to this end and bring this closer. Bring this closer, press Ctrl and select that. Make sure the other end is properly selected. Make sure you selected it. You made your selection more accurate. Just to be sure of what we're doing, just highlight everything there. Then you want to populate that. Highlight everything there. Then we want to populate this along the gable. Zoom this out. Then right click, come to special copy, come to linear, and note on the direction of the x-axis it is positive, and we want this to be 7 in number or 6 in number. 6 in number, and the interval measurement be 5 meters. This should be 0. Note that we'll feed 5 meters there along the x-axis, and we'll just go ahead and click copy. Copy and accept that. Reason why it is extending beyond that is because the size of this beam and the size of the other beams are different. Now what we are going to do is to undo this. After undoing that, we want to create a column on this side. We want to create another beam for this, but we'll make sure that this one has been copied. We'll take these to linear and we'll feed here 40 meters or 40 meters, and just feed there 1 and click copy. Don't expand. It has exceeded our. We'll undo that. Let's click on that and come to special copy, come to linear and feed 35 meters. Still big. Don't expand. Accept that. Right click and interrupt that and do that. We'll highlight that, then right click, come to special copy, linear, then we'll just feed 30 here. We'll try 30 and click that. Right click and accept that. Still a bit short, which is not right. Now we will delete this and just do the beams properly. Now we'll go ahead and press Ctrl 2. Then we'll come to concrete and come to beams here. We'll snap right there and run all the way to this end. All the way to that end and snap right there. And come all the way here. Just zoom out. Come all the way, come to beam there and snap right at the end of that. Then run to the other end and place your beam. Perfect. Right click and click interrupt, then go to Control 4. After doing all this, come to applications and component, pick Reba, and now just go straight to Rebar Placement. Snap right there, snap right there, pick the positions. Remember the settings remain the same for the rebars. And remember these are also the same. We'll just pick select that, right click and come to special copy, come to linear. Under linear we'll feed 5 meters. How many do we want? We want 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll feed 4 here, 4 there. Go ahead and click copy, apply and accept. There we are. Now under applications and components, we'll close that because it is no longer in use for us at the moment. Turn this round for the beams, for the RC beam placement. Right click. Now we want to take this on the other end of the beam, and prior to doing that we have to classify this. We have to rectify the face manager classification of gable beams. Now we'll come to drawings and report and come to faces and face manager. We'll come to gable beams there, we'll select on it, then press Ctrl and select that, select that, select that, select that, select that, select that. Perfect. Now we'll come to gable beams here. We'll come to gable beams here and click modify. Now click on empty screen to deselect the gable beams and come back and check whether your classification is okay. Just come and check on that. It's perfectly right. Now we'll close this, or this selection will help us in copying this to the other end. We'll just go ahead and pick copy from this spot, from that spot to the other end. Just zoom out close to this location and snap right there. You'll be prompted by duplicate, and do this, delete any duplicate. Do not expand. We'll check what is the reason for that. Go ahead and accept that. Now we'll come to view, come to navigate. We want to rotate this about that spot. That prompt of duplicate is coming from this end. Now our beams have been laid properly well, and we'll just go ahead and see this on perspective view. Double click on empty screen and come to perspective, click modify, apply and accept. Now if you zoom closer, we'll come to navigate, rotate this using a mouse. Pick your rotation point, and we'll be able to turn this round like this. We have our beams. Just zoom out, just zoom out, and turn this like this. Let's turn this. I'm already inside the structure. Let's zoom out. Perfect. If you zoom closer, you can see a duplicate here. This we will delete because it has no use for us. Just select on it, select it, right click and delete. Now here we are with our beams placed. So if you press Ctrl 2, you'll be able to see the rebars. Be able to see the rebars. And the stub plates. Perfect. Thanks a lot for watching this video, and let's meet on the next presentation. I'm your presenter, Maurice Dimba, and bye bye. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel.